Hey, my name is Stu Perry. Welcome to The Lift. This week we've been focusing on the Bible, and we've been focusing on why it's important to study the Bible and how to study the Bible. And today I'd like to share a story from the Bible about someone who followed the instructions that God gave them, and they were blessed because of it. We're going to be looking at the story of Daniel, and we're going to look at Daniel chapter 1. What's going on at this time is that God's people have just been taken over by a king named Nebuchadnezzar. And Daniel is one of God's people, and he gets brought into the king's palace to be an advisor for the king, to be a part of the king's royal court. And the king told his men to go and find young men who were good looking and who were smart, who were the best of all of God's people. And so they did that, and they found Daniel and 3 of his friends. So Daniel and his 3 friends are brought into the palace. Well, at that time, the king, he wanted to start feeding these men what he thought would make them strong. But there was a problem, because God had given very specific instructions to his people on what they could and could not eat. Now, to a lot of us, that would seem like a silly rule. Like, why would God limit what you can and can't eat? But it wasn't God just trying to control these people. He was trying to keep them healthy, and he was trying to keep them safe. A lot of the foods that God prohibited, it was because those people at that time had no idea how to prepare it without getting food poisoning. One of the things that he prohibited was pork, and even recently there's been a lot of food contamination through pork products. But God's people at that time had no clue how to cook pork properly in order to not get sick. So God decided to just prohibit that product so that his people wouldn't get sick and die. It wasn't just God trying to be controlling, it was out of love. So Daniel gets brought into this palace where they are serving him some of these prohibited foods. And Daniel doesn't think that's right. So he goes to one of the king's men who was the one in charge of feeding all of these people, and he asks, "Can we just eat vegetables and drink water?" Daniel and his 3 friends. And this advisor said, "I don't know, because if you get weak, then the king will kill me." And Daniel said this, he said, "Okay, give me just a few days, and you feed me what I tell you to feed me, and if you do that, then I will be stronger and better looking than all of these other men, and so will my friends if you'll do the same for them." So the advisor agreed, and so he fed Daniel and his 3 friends what they requested for that period of time. And at the end of their bet, that man went and he checked Daniel and his 3 friends, and Daniel and his 3 friends looked better and were stronger than anybody else who the king had chosen. Now, this might seem like a really weird thing, but Daniel followed God's instructions. Daniel saw what Moses had written in the law, and he decided to follow it, even though it might have seemed silly, and even though it might have been very difficult to turn down some of that delicious looking food. Daniel decided to follow what God wanted, and because of that, he was blessed. It wasn't the vegetables going into Daniel's body that were blessing him. It was the fact that he had chosen to follow what God wanted, despite what may have been the easier choice. And that's what we need to do when we study the Bible. It's important for us to study the Bible because it's our map, it's our guide, and we can do that, and we can apply it to our life. And if we'll do that, if we will follow God's instructions in the big things all the way down to the little things, then we will be blessed, and we will be given strength. And what we will find is that that strength that God gives us is about so much more than just muscles. This is The Lift.
Hey everyone, Brad Marlowe here with your workout tip of the day. I want to show you a couple moves you can do if you're someone who is told that you have slouched shoulders, or you look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, whatever. If you're bent over too much in your upper back, these are a couple things you can do. Grab yourself a foam roller, and you just roll on it, just like that. It's going to help stretch the fascia and the muscles all through there. It's going to make you more flexible. Another thing you can do is you can do almost a reverse crunch, sitting like this, and bend your back backwards as far as you can, trying to touch the ground. That's going to give you thoracic spine mobility, as it's called, and it'll help bring those shoulders back. I'm Brad Marlowe. Strength is more than muscles. This is The Lift.